All right. Good evening. Is it evening or afternoon still?
It's in between.
It's in between.
In
huh?
between. Whatever
Midday.
floats your boat.
It's midday.
I would
That's
say,
something new.
Yeah. Well, my name is Craig, and I am one of your recovery coaches here at Capital Recovery Center.
I'm Carl, and I'm also a recovery coach here.
And we have with us, you can't see him, but he's definitely with us today, and his name is
Paul Gorgodian.
Paul. Nice to meet you. Nice
Nice
to
to
have
meet
you,
you,
man.
I'm Carl. Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah. So what are we talking about today?
I'll pick that little topic. It says how the family suffers and what can it do. And this article is by rlhope.com. I'm going to say that again, rlhope.com.
Okay.
So I'll hop into it. The members of a family are dependent on each other. Therefore, when there is stress, the whole family readjusts itself to bring stability and balance into their lives. With an addict in the family, the rest of the family members begin to react in predictable ways. When one member of the family suffers from addiction, there are multiple victims. Primarily, they are the wife, parents, and children. They are victims of addiction without using chemicals themselves. These people suffer silently in the background, struggling to solve their problems, numbing their feelings, such as persons and referred to as a codependents, while addicts are called dependents on a substance such as alcohol. Codependents usually react rather than act to problems and pain, and need to learn to act rather than react.
Okay. Yeah, you just read a whole lot, man. So we are definitely talking about family and those who are affected, those who are addicted to either alcohol or drugs. And as always, this is not an individual disease. This is a family disease. And so it talks about codependence, right? Codependence. If you have a loved one that's suffering, you can be a codependent, whereas you may be an enabler, right? So,
And there's support, not just for the addict, right? And for the family. You know, 'cause like we said, it's a
that's
family
very
disease.
important, Carl.
It's a family disease, man. You know, the family suffers as well. And you know, and it talks about instead of react or then to act or then rather than to react. You know, you got to rewire yourself to instead of just lashing out, to just let emotions, feelings come and deal with them in a healthy way.
Right. And so there's a thing they talked about. You don't want to be a reactionary, you want to proact. So you want to respond, take the necessary measures that it takes to address the issue before it get out of hand. Not wait until it happens. Then let's try to work on it, you know,
before it gets too big.
Before. Paul, what do you think? What do you think about this article? As family, how addiction affect the family?
No, yeah, I mean, it hurts the family almost more than it hurts the person that, you know, is a user. Because it's like a branch. It affects everybody around your whole family when it comes to cousins or even get-togethers, and you know, as far as even close, you know, relatives, as far as your mom and dad and your children and your spouse, and
absolutely,
it's really you know, it's just a selfish kind of thing when you dealing with drugs or alcohol, because you don't realize how many people it's affecting them and how much they take up their time throughout the day and worry about you, and constantly you're on their minds.
Constantly.
And you know, when they should be worried about other things. But instead, you're right up there at the top of their list of their. You know.
Absolutely, and I like the scenario that you utilize. You said family is like a branch.
Yeah.
And if we don't get down to the root of the issue, there's no way we can take care of the branches. So everybody.
The whole tree is unhealthy.
The whole tree is unhealthy.
Yeah.
That's tight. I like that.
Spreads everywhere.
All right. So what we normally do, Paul, is that I call read some. I would like to read some. If you don't want to read, if you're not comfortable reading,
That's fine too.
But if you like to, it's up to you. But I'm gonna read some. I'm gonna pause and stop, and we'll go from there. All right.
Yeah, cool.
All right. And so we are at the point where it says, as the problem increased, they suffer from isolation. We're talking about the family. They suffer from isolation and the addict, depression, emotional and physical illness, and sometimes suicidal tendencies. Family members go through an emotional roller coaster ride that never seems to end.
Mhm.
Now, the article mentioned guilt. Guilt is a common and overwhelming feeling. Culturally, the wife or parents are usually blamed squarely for the addict's problem. This leads to a lot of self-blame and consequently to deep shame, right? And so this is not an individual, this is a family thing. So I'm gonna read where it says grief, and say grief is felt when the family loses the pleasures of life. In case of addiction, there is a chronic and extended loss with no visible end, loss of prestige, of family ties, of personal dignity, of feelings of love, of friends, of finances. The list goes on. When there is no sharing and caring, let me read that again. When there is no sharing and caring, it creates loss of anger. The family helplessness makes them angrier with just about everything, family, friends, and the world at large. Right? And it says the addict gets angry and shouts throughout the night. The wife starts shouting the next morning. In either case, the other person is not listening. Continued anger becomes deep-rooted resentment. Think of that tree again. The anger becomes deep-rooted. You was talking about that earlier in the other group, Carl, when you were talking about not only addressing the alcohol and the drug addiction. You said there's other things like emotions, anger, and so if that is not acknowledged and addressed, as well as alcohol and drug, getting down to the root cause of it, there's going to be a lot of resentment.
And it goes to like from our experience and seeing other people, like being complete absent, right? And that you're talking about getting to the root.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I use drugs and alcohol? What causes this? Why do I feel this way?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's mental illness, abandonment, trauma. There's a lot of factors, right? I didn't realize until I got clean and sober that I was dealing with.
Yeah.
And using drugs and alcohol. It's in like that self-consciousness. Like it's not right there in front of you, but it's like buried in your head somewhere.
And dormant.
Yeah, and it don't arise until you gotta get that stuff out of you. Do it, and then your emotions and feelings do come up, and you deal with them in a healthy manner.
Right. So the article mentioned that the family sometimes take on the role of it's my fault, shame and guilt. I'm the reason I didn't raise so and so.
Yeah.
Right? And that can be far from the truth.
And my mom dealt with that with me, but you know what? I would inflict that on her, to get what I wanted, trying to make her feel guilty, shameful, and use that to my advantage.
Manipulative.
Yes, very.
That's what drugs do, though.
Very.
And I am someone that's in recovery, so those who may not know, be watching this for the first time. And so, we know that when we're on drug, which is known as a mind-altering substance, we begin to be baffling, cunning, manipulative. We have all this distorted thoughts just to have things our way. But we're affecting not only ourselves, but everyone that's connected to us.
We know it. Well, I knew it, but I didn't know the extent of it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I know it's hurting the family, but I didn't know the root of. I'm talking about the root, not the real big picture of. I'm just hurting myself, and I mean, it's my life, this and that. But deep down, I'm really breaking these people down.
And a lot of times we be masking our own pain and hurt. We try to numb ourselves instead of coping with it.
That's right.
We want to numb it, so we ain't got to deal with it. So, Paul, you see where I left off? Resentment.
Yeah.
You want read some and you tell me where you want to start if you want to.
There's also a lot of humiliation. The drunken behavior of the addict in front of relatives and friends causes embarrassment, leading to feelings of low self-worth and deep shame. Living in such a constantly stressful state produces a lot of fear of the future, fear of the family life, fear of financial matters, fear of relationships, fear of arguments, fear of the addict's health, etc., etc. These stressful situations lead to communication breakdowns in the family. There is no love, care, and sharing. Instead, in an attempt to hide the emotions, the family experiences terrible loneliness. These negative emotions lead to a predictable behavioral response called denial.
Wow. Let's talk about that, man, because it talks about humiliation, and then it talks about denial. The fear of addressing the issue head on, constant fear of the future, a family life, financial matters, relationships, arguments. All these things happen when a loved one is either affected with addicted to alcohol or drugs.
And my sponsor always says, and I hear it a lot, life is fear-based. Life is fear-based,
Yeah.
The root of it's fearful. And, it's sad, that my mom was grieving over me even before I was dead.
Yeah.
Check
Wow.
that out.
Yeah. That's heavy, man.
It's,
And you ain't had to get that heavy on
Well,
the top, but I
listen,
appreciate you, man.
I like being
Yeah.
honest. You
Yeah,
like
yeah.
listening so they can learn from
That's
something.
good. That's good. Man.
Grieving over me, and I'm not even past the
Not
money
even.
yet. Because, listen, that's where it was headed.
Yeah, and that was
That's how deep I was hurting my family.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Man. That's good. That's good. I like the way you explain that because that's real. That's reality for a lot of families. Not just us three. But a lot of people that may be watching this for the first time. What Carl just said was spot on. Spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know I heard my mom plenty of times, and I thank God that I'm able to show her another side that she always wanted to see.
Amen.
Yeah. So
I'll rock it out here.
okay, cool.
All right, so where we start at loneliness here?
With denial at right on denial.
Yeah, as fear increases.
As fear increases, the family denies having any problem. They justify and rationalize the situation by attributing all this to too much pressure. As some such external factor, denial is not lying. It is used unconsciously to control fear and anxiety. The spouse of the addict usually becomes a good neighbor, yes, with good intentions in order to show care and concern and protect her dignity. She covers up the consequences of the addict's behavior. She perpetually keeps bailing him out of situation to avoid an awkward situation instead of allowing him to face the consequences of his actions. She becomes an ideal, competent, and protective wife, thereby enabling the addict to continue his addiction without taking responsibility.
Wow. See how that affects the household, the house unit. The wife or mother, father, whoever it may be, began to become the enabler, taking on the responsibility of the person that's affected or the person that's addicted to alcohol and drugs, instead of them, like the article said, allowing them to face, their own responsibility head on.
Sometimes you allow them to hit rock bottom.
Right.
They try to think they're doing out of love to help you and bail you out of things and stuff like that. But in the long run, you know, it's really hurting you. You know, sometimes you gotta express that tough love,
Yeah,
you know, but it's hard for family members.
It's very
It's, you know,
yeah,
it's easier with maybe somebody you don't know, but when it comes to family, friends, and stuff like that, it's hard.
yeah, that bond, that connection, you don't want to abandon your loved one.
Yeah, and you feel like it's your fault, and that guilt, shame. What could I do? What can I have done?
Yeah,
You know, that battle.
Yeah.
battle. Mhm. All right, and so as a family member, one must realize that addiction is a disease, not a moral weakness, nor a lack of willpower. The addict is truly powerless over his addiction. I heard that word. We are powerless over ourselves.
You'll hear it a lot.
You're gonna hear it a lot. If you ever been in NA or AA, 12-step, you're gonna hear that message of being powerless, and our lives became unmanageable, right? The family member needs to accept this truth. This will help in changing the attitude and approach towards the addict and his addiction. Just as addiction has taken years to develop, recovery cannot happen overnight. Let me read that again for all the family or those who may watch. Just as an addiction has taken years to develop, recovery cannot happen overnight. Addiction is a progressive disease requiring professional help. All right? It is a what disease? A progressive disease.
When you read something twice or a couple of times, you know it's important.
Very important, man. You know, because it stands out.
I know.
You know,
Yeah.
and I said, wow.
I gotta say this again.
Yeah, I can't just roll over that as if I ain't hear it.
Yeah, very, very true.
Yeah.
And I think there's a couple of things here that some don'ts.
Some
That-
don't.
That's the last part of this section
Okay.
for today. You want me to read them?
Let's see what
Or you want
Paul.
Paul, you want to read them?
Yeah, sure. These are some don'ts. Don't justify the addict's chemical abuse.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Don't hide the liquor or drugs. The addict will anyway know how to acquire more, and you will end up frustrated.
Mhm.
Don't argue with the person when under the influence of chemicals. Don't attempt to punish or bribe.
Major.
Mhm.
Don't feel guilty for the addict's behavior. Don't treat the addict as a child.
Mhm.
Don't try to control the addict and his addiction. Seek professional help.
Seek professional help. We are recovery coaches here. We are not professionals. We're not therapists, sponsors, counselors. We do have a counselor on staff, but he's not in the room. But in the building, we do have a certified CADC counselor that's here that can assist us when it comes to treatment to that nature. But yes, you know someone that's struggling with this progressive disease, seek professional help. You want to add something, Carl? Or
And we're here for support. You know,
Mhm.
you come down to the center.
Absolutely.
Talk more about, more of a family disease or anything you guys would like to talk about. You know, we're here for support. And, when you need some professional help or some kind of treatment.
Yeah.
As of not even being an addict, right? Just being, we say, so-called normal. Everybody needs support. Everybody needs help.
Mhm.
And I just think it's very important.
Carl, Paul, you want to add anything?
I just think for the family, you don't have all the answers. You definitely need help. It's not your pay grade. You weren't. This isn't something that you asked for. This is something that came about.
Yeah.
A family member, whether it be a husband, a wife, or just got involved in this, and you need help. Someone to help you understand what is happening. Try not to have the guilt. It's not your fault. It's that person's fault, and they need to, understand that. And if you just need someone to help you along the way, someone with that would help the family, and not, try to go on with your life. And that's all you want, to be normal. You want to be happy. You want to have love for the person that's, addicted to whatever they're addicted to. And, you just gotta try to find help.
That's right.
Like here, someone that has answers. Not everybody has all the answers, but
Absolutely.
they can lead you. Yeah, they can lead you somewhere
That's
where you
right.
could find the answer. 'Cause
If I don't
everyone's
know, I can lead you to somewhere that he does know,
Yeah.
And so on that note, well said. Thank you for being here,
Thank you,
Paul.
Paul.
Yeah,
Appreciate you
I
sharing.
appreciate it.
And so on to the next time. We'll see you guys later on. Take
Good
care.
night.
Good night.